My favorite actor, the late Sir Sean Connery, once said in the movie First Night, "A man who fears nothing is a man who loves nothing. And if you love nothing, what joy is there in your life?" Recently, I ran a poll for my 300,000 followers across all platforms, and I asked, what is the most profound fear in sales? 51% said missing quota, bad performance. 30% called out losing their job. And these fears are very real. And they're never going to completely go away. We fear losing our job because we will no longer be able to support the people we love, our family. We fear lack of or loss of momentum in our career. We fear bad performance because of the damage that it can have to our reputation. And these things are not fun. In the moments when you're navigating through these crucibles, it can be excruciating. It can be debilitating. If you're around long enough in a sales career, and if you're challenged hard enough, you're going to encounter these things. It's very likely you're going to encounter a missed quota or a lost job. These things have happened to me a few times in my career. And I can tell you that the year I missed quota, my manager actually gave away my top customer while I was on paternity leave. My biggest deal of the year was incorrectly calculated, and it never got fixed. It was the first negative appraisal of my career, which was awful. And it was actually a signal that I wasn't going to last long at that company or in that role, which is really hard to handle. Soon after that, though, I got a new manager, and that person was incredible. I meticulously studied the system. I focused on activities that would create and nurture relationships, and I applied ruthless discipline in my scheduling so that I could focus on my non-negotiables and drown out the distractions. And from that point, I went on a multi-year string of winning every award that I possibly could in that company. So that brief time where I was a failure, actually led to something great. When I first lost a job, I was completely alone in it. I had no network. The droves of people that I thought were going to help me or be there for me, they were nowhere to be found. It was humiliating. It was deflating. It felt horrible. Starting from scratch, I applied to over 1,600 jobs. I got a handful of interviews, but I had no network. And I learned really quickly that I needed to really focus on relationships and network, and also brand. It was actually after I got my first book published through reaching out to over 900 publishers and agents, and that was part of my resume, that I got noticed for the job that I got, which I was laid off from a year later. But then I came to the table with a position of strength, because from there on out, every meaningful role that I've ever moved into has been because of a relationship. Relationships and resources are of the utmost importance. And I will tell you that these experiences taught me these valuable lessons. Number one, nothing good or bad lasts. As hard as it is in these moments, it gets better. It may not look like what you think you want it to look like on the other end, but it does get better. Your network is your net worth. Double down on relationships. Also, discipline and focus are paramount. The stuff that bogs you down, the stuff that distracts you from your non-negotiables, that stuff's not going to save you if you miss your goal or if you lose your job. So you've got to be centered on what matters most, what is going to get you to be successful. And frankly, that feeds into the last point that I want to make today, which is fear. While it's pesky, it's distracting, and it's debilitating, it's always around. So knowing how to use it as fuel, knowing how to control your controllables, finding the people who will sit in it with you and walk you through it. Those are the things that make everything better, even if not right away. Because as I said, fear will never leave completely. It will always ebb and flow. So knowing how to acknowledge it, knowing how to live with it, knowing it how to turn into fuel and also knowing that the other side can make you better, even though that doesn't necessarily help you in the moment. All of these things can make the constant presence of some sort of fear a little bit easier to handle. We fear losing what we have, letting people down, not being good enough. But if you show up with value in sales, you seek to serve, you create and nurture genuine relationships, you understand all the resources at your disposal, and you look to deliver a win to everybody you touch, you're never going to regret that your effort or contribution wasn't up to par. And guess what? You'll build a career, even though it won't look like what you think it will. You'll build a career that you can be proud of. Good luck.